Hey guys, what's up? My name is Anthony. Welcome to another edition of BNA Sports Talk. So today I'm just kind of doing a walk and talk. So they're going to be like cars in the background and whatever it is. And there'll be people walking by with the dogs. And I'm going to pretend like, I'm just talking to somebody. But yeah, kind of the old school, the way I used to do it. So what I wanted to talk about was basically, and I stole this idea from Colin Cowherd the other day. He was talking about the teams that could implode, and he mentioned a lot of teams. Oh, and I'm watching the Ravens game. They're up 7-0, and they just got a first down. Are they really gonna win? Anyway, but yeah, if this is a real live stream of mine, hopefully the crickets aren't too loud. I'll listen back in this recording, and this car is trying to turn. So anyway, there's been a little bit of a chaotic first minute, but Colin Cowherd basically said the teams that could implode this year, and he mentioned the Denver Broncos in it. Teams that can implode, and they're on my honorable mentions. But there's a category for this. There are teams that are going to be bad this year that are just going to be bad. Kind of like last year. We knew the Bears were going to be bad. They need to reset anything because it's a development year for Justin Fields and their head coaching staff, and we knew that this year they'd pretty much be fine unless they fell in love with the quarterback, which they ended up not, and they fell 8 picks in the draft. So they traded back. And teams last year that imploded, this is what I'd categorize it as. People had Indianapolis winning the division, including me, but I had them at 8-9, so at least I wasn't like, they're going to be a great division winner. Teams last year like the Rams, the Cardinals. I wouldn't include the Rams, the Cardinals, who fired their head coach, who thought people had them winning the division. Not me, but people had them winning the division last year. So teams that are kind of picked to win the division do good, and I'm going to rank them on the scale of how good I think they're going to do this year. And this has been, I hate trucks that are loud and whatever it is, but this will be a nice casual video. Anyway, so my honorable mentions, one of them is going to be the New Orleans Saints. I just think that their schedule's too easy for them to implode. Like, worst case scenario, they're like a 7-win team. Best case scenario, they're like an 11-win team, kind of like the Giants were in 2016, where you're just playing easy opponents, you win the division, whatever. Another team that's an honorable mention on this list, let me pull it up real quick, is the Seahawks. I just don't think they're going to be bad this year. I just think that their roster is just good. But even though there's a chance for them to suck, Geno Smith be figured out, but I just don't see them like completely imploding, especially since you have 4 easy opponents in the division. The Falcons, similar case to the Saints. Yeah, I can see a world where Desmond Ridder is just not a good quarterback, but I think the Falcons, Bijan Robinson, you're just gonna hold on him, and he'll carry you to some wins. But obviously, the running backs, you can't really win too much with them, but I think they'll be good with Bijan. The Bears. Justin Fields is a Hall of Famer, future Hall of Famer, according to everybody known to mankind. But what if they do suck? Yeah, then you have to start questioning yourself. They have to tear it down to the studs, potentially. But they have a lot of talent on the roster. And there's going to be a lot of talents, quarterbacks in the draft. And we'll see how that goes. They have a lot of draft capital to use this upcoming year. And then the Patriots. I'm still working on my preseason predictions, but I think the Patriots are going to be a pretty damn good team this year, based on my formula or whatever it is. So I don't see them completely falling apart, but it is, it's something that everybody's been talking about with Bill Belichick. What happens if they actually just suck? And I should have included the Jets on this list, but as far as implosion, I don't know. We saw Joe Burrow manage with a weak offensive line, so the Jets are a sneaky honorable mention on this list. So let's just start off with number 1 on the list. It's the Rams. It's the obvious choice. I think Stetson Bennett's going to be starting at the end of the year because either Matt Stafford getting injured or most likely is Matt Stafford getting injured. Less likely he actually wins out the starting job. I really find it doubtful that Sean McVay would play Stetson Bennett over Matt Stafford, but stranger things have happened, I guess, unless they get to these contract disputes and it's just really drama-filled. Sean McVay leaving, imploding. I can definitely see that happening. But the thing that the Rams have is good coaching. So even though they're number 1 on my list, if I would make it again, I'd probably put it lower. But I could just see the Rams having a horrible season and just wanting to switch things up. It's LA. Things change very fast over there. And you have to play butts in seats. And I can see them easily moving off of Matt Stafford and then moving to the future. and making a significant move for a quarterback in the first round of next year's draft. Number 2 is the Browns. DTR hype, like Kellen Mond hype. No, I got Kellen Mond wrong. Me and Chris Sims kind of like Kellen Mond, but apparently that ended up not working out really, so far at least. Deshaun Watson, I've been seeing hype about Calvin Ridley and how good he's been looking a year out of the NFL. I haven't been hearing the same thing about Deshaun Watson. And he is now, the 10th best quarterback in his own conference. Now, that the AFC is loaded, but, do the math there. The Browns have a good roster, but how good of a roster do they actually have? People love Myles Garrett. I think, I don't know. He's a really good edge rusher. Who you have other than that? They made some moves in the offseason to get some defensive tackle talent, but is their linebacking core overly that great? You have Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. They're cornerbacks. You had, why am I forgetting their 4th overall pick from years ago now? But consistently underperforming. Their defensive backs consistently underperform. I heard good things about Greg Newsome, but people pretending, and that franchise guy too, are pretending this is some like elite roster. I don't really see it. Like, who are you bragging about wide receiver-wise? I love Cedric Tillman in the draft. I loved him. But Jarvis Landry, who are you bragging about? Unless I'm missing somebody, because this is more off-the-cuff things. I'm not dissecting their roster 100%. But who are you scared of offensive weapon-wise besides Nick Chubb, who's a running back, easily can get injured? So they're going to be my number 2, and especially in this division, that's going to be really challenging. Next is the Raiders. This has been a trendy pick, but I was on it first. Now, with the Aiden O'Connell hype, I'm like, maybe they have like a Brock Purdy in them, but I mean, I just see this like Tyree Wilson, new edge, Max Crosby, good. I think they'll be good in the edge department, but I think they're going to get tossed around up front pretty much. Like, no interior talent that's really worth of note. I think that their cornerback talent is decent, but like last year it severely underperformed based on what they did in the previous year. They had Nate Hobbs that, kind of went down, and I just think overall they haven't drafted well, and then you could see that with the roster, and I think it could totally collapse, and we could be talking about them kind of doing the Washington thing where we're starting Aiden O'Connell next year, and they decide he's the guy, and then firing Josh McDaniels, which that would be a really interesting case about Josh McDaniels, like his resume, like great with Brady. You trust him another year, kind of like what Washington did with that. Maybe if you're the ownership, you don't want to fire Josh McDaniels. Kind of, you want to create a little bit of continuity there, and you got to see if Josh McDaniels, hey, he may plead and say I could fix this guy, or I can do it. I just don't see Jimmy Garoppolo being a bright future there. If Deshaun Watson's the 10th best quarterback in that conference, was Jimmy Garoppolo. He's serviceable, but you can always rely on him getting injured. Hopefully this video is going good. Hopefully this video, everything around me is just, everybody's moving and everything. Number 4 is going to be Dallas. People treat, and I talked about this in my last video, people treat Dallas, and they do this every year. Not just Dallas, but a certain team. You just pencil them into number 2. You're like, oh, it's going to be this team and then that team. Are we sure that they're the second best team in this division? Are we sure about that? I mean, I guess they have some upcoming talent. They always draft well. They've been sneaky, pretty good drafting team. But Mike McCarthy, we've seen him go 6-10 with Aaron Rodgers before. So what if he's just over his skis? And I do overthink the defense is good, which is why I have them 4th on this list. I don't see their defense completely imploding 100%. And I mean, and if their quarterback gets injured, we saw that they can kind of survive a couple weeks at least with quarterback play. So we'll see. But I think just gradual diminishing of the offensive line. It's not out of the cards here that Dallas falls, and if they do, that'd be a pretty big story, because Dallas is obviously a big market team, and I think people go a little bit too far with, Dallas fans saying they're going to win the, Super Bowl every year. Maybe because I don't interact with a lot of Dallas fans, but a lot of NFL fans are delusional, including your fan base, whoever fan base you root for, unless you're a Jags fan. Anyway, next is the Dolphins. I am lower on the Dolphins than most people because they helped the Chiefs win the Super Bowl last year. Vic Fangio, defensive coordinator, this defense is going out of style really quickly. And you already see hints of injuries, not just with Jalen Ramsey, but everywhere on the roster. This may be a team, it happens to about 3 teams per year that just get snake bitten with injuries. Some teams can overcome it, but can Miami do it? I like their edge rushers, Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips, Christian Wilkins, who's going to get a contract. It's a contract dispute. It's all going to get resolved eventually, but, there hasn't been, pen to paper yet. But, the offensive talent, it's Mostert. I think Raheem Mostert's their starting back. One of my coworkers really likes Devon A-Chain. He thinks he's the best coming. But we argued. People think Miami has a top 5 weapons core. I like Jalen Waddle, I like Tyreek Hill, but what do you have besides that? You got to hope some of these young people on this roster exceed their expectations, but I can easily see, especially in this division, so the Washington Commanders, wherever they're going to be named, Sam Howell, are we really trusting him? He's got 99% of snaps. I like Sam Howell. I was on the Sam Howell bandwagon. People are on this Matt Corral. I had him as the 4th best quarterback in that draft, and that's gonna be, I think, end up being a sneaky good quarterback class. But it all ends up being the offensive line. They have Samuel Cosmi. The guys that have somewhat developed, but can you really trust them? They kind of just have a mismatch. I feel like this offensive line is either going to be really good or really bad. There's going to be no in between. So that's going to be interesting there. But they have all the pieces, the talent. But if they fail, man, they're just going to clean house. They have a new ownership. And again, tough division with the NFC East. And I could just see them completely imploding. And then finally, just to wrap the video up, because, I guess it's time to wrap the video up. The Chargers, Kellen Moore, but Justin Herbert. I can see them doing what the Denver Broncos did. There's going to be, I'm not sure if there's going to be a good coach that's going to be on the market coming up, but, just, hey, say, Justin Herbert, we gave you a new contract, but we're going to kind of clear house besides that. Jamari Sarlier looking good at right tackle spot, but I don't trust it for the entire season. I think eventually he's going to project it long-term to guard. We'll see how the offensive line holds up, but Rashawn Slater should be good. They have a lot of offensive weapons. But this defense, the key thing has been, can they stay healthy? Khalil Mack is on his last legs. You have a bunch of cornerbacks that underperformed. Derwin James is always hurt. Joey Bosa is always hurt. And if your defense can't really go, it's going to end up being a Justin Herbert versus whoever, and you're going to get into shootouts. And we saw what happened with Dak Prescott and Kellen Moore last year. You could say it was a little bit unlucky, but there's a theory that, hey, the Chargers are going to have to reset after this year. It's going to be really hard to predict. I'm going to have my full season predictions coming up soon, but that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all I have for today. Hopefully this video ended up turning out pretty good, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye, guys.